Good evening. I'd like to call the Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, April 20th, 2026 to order. All please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn over the meeting to our solicitor, Ms. Frankowski, for a conditional use hearing.
Thank you. This is the time and place advertised for the conditional use hearing of the Woods Apartments LLC concerning real estate located at 2139 North 13th Street, Reading, PA 19604 in Muhlenberg Township. The applicant is requesting conditional use pursuant to section 355-21C2 to permit a multifamily apartment unit development on the property, which is located within the R5 high density residential zoning district. I do believe there are representatives of the applicant here. Mr. Bailey, would you want to enter your appearance to the record?
Yes. Hello, Commissioners. My name is Brett Fegley. I'm the attorney for the applicant, the Woods Apartments LLC, who is also the owner of the property.
Thank you. Just for the public, I'll just go through the procedure of how the hearing will go, in case you want to participate in any manner. The applicant is going to present the applicant's case in the form of evidence and testimony. The board members will then be able to ask questions of any of the applicant's witnesses that are presented. And after that, the public will have the ability to participate. There are two ways that the public can participate. They can either just simply make public comment on their thoughts and feelings about the application, or the public, if they have a direct and substantial interest in the development, can become parties to the application and present their own evidence and cross-examine witnesses, and would have appellate rights if they disagree with the ultimate decision made by the board. Explaining that, is there anyone present who believes they would like to become a party to this application? Okay, let the record reflect that there are none. Administratively, I'm just gonna mark some exhibits on behalf of the board, which have been already provided to the stenographer. Board 1 will be the conditional use application submitted to the township dated March 26, 2026. Board Exhibit 2 will be the proof of publication of the notice of the conditional use hearing. Board Exhibit 3 will be the affidavit of posting of the notice. Board Exhibit 4 will be the affidavit of mailing of the notice. And Board Exhibit 5 will be the township zoning ordinance, which was not provided in hard copy form to the stenographer, but is on the township's website. Any objections, Mr. Bailey, to those exhibits?
No.
Thank you. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to you to present your case and your application.
Okay. I'd like to call Brian Pope from C2C as my witness. Is the only witness I intend to call.
You swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, do you want me to qualify him as an expert? I understand he's been before.
I know Brian, I know that he has the qualifications to testify as an expert witness. If the board's so inclined to stipulate that he could be qualified as an expert and admitted as such for the hearing.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I should know that for the record. Mr. Cook, he's qualified as an expert witness for the hearing.
All right, Brian, are you familiar with the Muhlenberg Township Code, specifically the R5 high density residential district requirements and the standards for the conditional use?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you familiar with? I have what I've marked as Exhibit A2, which is a copy of a land development plan that was submitted to the planning commission. Apologies for the small phone. We do have a larger version here, but not. Thank you. All right, Brian, were you familiar with the land development plan that I've handed around marked as exhibit A2? There you go.
Yes,
Were you the engineer of record for this plan?
yes, I am.
I move to admit the land development plan that I've marked as A2 into the record.
Can we just take care of the admission of exhibits at the end? You can just go over them now. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, does the proposed development consist of a multifamily apartment unit as defined by the code?
Yes,
What is the total acreage of the development, and is that land area contiguous as defined by section 355-48 of the code?
yeah, the current property is 25.37 acres and it is all contiguous.
Will all units be served by public sanitary sewage and public water supply facilities?
Yes, both public water and sewer.
Okay. Need it.
Is it a system?
Brian, I'm handing you what it's been marked as exhibit A3. Can you identify that letter?
Yeah, this is a will serve request or authorization from Reading Area Water Authority stating that they have the ability to serve this project.
Is that a true and correct copy of the letter you received from Rockwell?
Yes, it is.
Can you please briefly explain to the board the process to determine sanitary sewage usage and the approval process?
The applicant will submit what is known as a sewage planning module. As part of that sewage planning process, we go through capacity certifications for capture, conveyance, and treatment. And we have, in this case, Muhlenberg Township Municipal Authority does the collection and conveyance, and then it goes to the city of Reading for a portion of conveyance and treatment. And we have certification capacities signed off as part of the planning module in the packet that we received.
So I handed around what's been marked as exhibit A4. Is that the letter that evidences Muhlenberg Township and the city of Reading's approval to this planning module?
Yes.
Okay, what's the next step after that? Brian?
Once the planning module is signed off by the board, at the township level, it goes to DP for final approval.
What's proposed residential density per gross acre for this project?
There are currently 40 units on site. We're adding the 44 additional, so a total of 84 would leave us with a density of 3.4 units per acre, which is well below the 10 units per acre permitted by ordinance.
How much of the gross area has been set aside as common open space?
We set 15.94 acres, which is 64% of the property, which exceeds the 60% required.
Okay. You may have said this, but how many multifamily apartment buildings are proposed, and do any of them exceed 25 individual units per building?
No, there's 5 new buildings, 4 with 20 units each, and then 1 4-unit building.
Okay, does the plan establish building setback line of at least 50 feet from the right of way line or 60 feet from the curb line?
Yes,
Does the plan meet minimum building separation requirements of 60 feet for side to side, 70 feet for side to rear, and 80 feet for rear to rear?
yes, all separation distances are met.
Does the maximum length of any building containing apartment units exceed 160 feet?
No, the largest apartment building proposes 160 by 63.
Does the maximum depth of any building containing apartment units exceed 80 feet?
No,
Are all apartment units located at least 50 feet from any public street, right of way, or property line not owned by the applicant?
Yes,
What percentage of the development is covered by buildings?
6.2%, which is well under the 25%.
What percentage of the total area of development is covered by impervious surfaces?
25.9%, which is under the 40% limit.
Please state the building height for the record.
At this point, we don't have complete architecturals completed, but we will, submit architecturals as part of the building permit. And it will be less than 45 feet that's permitted by ordinance.
With respect to the land development plan, which I think is exhibit A2, was this plan designed with specific regard to the topographic and natural features of the site?
Yes,
Have you developed a preliminary grading plan that identifies the limits of disturbance in relation to lakes, ponds, floodplains, and tree masses?
yeah, we did a complete grading plan. This site has, some significant environmental features, some woods and waterways, on the lower half of the site that are all remaining untouched.
Regarding the main entrance, does the plan utilize the boulevard street design?
Yeah, the current entrance, is gonna be upgraded to provide a boulevard as required by ordinance.
Does the landscaping plan provide trees?
Yes, the ordinance, you have an extensive ordinance here for landscaping. We're proposing, we're required to plant 275 trees, 190 deciduous trees and 85 evergreen.
Do those trees have a minimum caliber?
Yes, they'll meet the minimum 2.5-inch caliper. I think most of them are actually 3-inch caliper.
Are all trees planned to be planted as street trees within buffer yards or within areas designated as common space?
Yes, they'll all be planted in common spaces.
Does the plan provide a 20-foot wide buffer yard and planting screen along the perimeter property lines to protect the privacy of adjacent owners?
Yes,
Okay. Regarding the architectural design of the buildings, do they incorporate the features required by section 355-48D6?
again, we don't have detailed architecturals completed at this time. However, when they're submitted as part of the building permit, we agree that they will meet all the requirements of this section of the ordinance.
In designing common parking areas, have you ensured that no cars are required to back into public streets? And do all dead-end parking lots provide adequate areas in which emergency and commercial vehicles can safely maneuver?
Yes, that's something we worked extensively with the planning commission to accomplish specifically that.
Are all common parking areas and access drives located at least 20 feet from all buildings and exterior lot lines?
Yes,
Are the entrance and exit ways for these parking areas at least 12 feet wide for each lane?
yeah, we show a 24-foot wide aisle, so that's 12 feet in each direction.
Are all parking areas designed to prevent through traffic to other parking areas?
Yes,
Does any single parking area contain more than 60 off-street parking spaces?
no, the largest, surface parking lot being proposed is 13 spaces. We do have, these buildings will have garages underneath, and there were proposed for 23 spaces in the garage. But none of them approach 60 feet maximum required.
Are or will all parking areas be designated in such a way that the parking areas will be sufficiently screened and landscaped in accordance with the standards of section 355-102?
Yes,
Are all entrances and exits from common parking areas located a minimum of 150 feet from the point of intersection to the nearest street curbings?
yes,
Are or will exterior storage areas for trash and rubbish be screened from view on 3 sides by fencing and landscaping? And will all trash and rubbish containers be placed in vermin-proof containers?
yes,
Is 50% or less of the common space located on lands within areas that are within the 100-year floodplain, areas delineated as wetlands, and or areas exceeding 20% in slope?
approximately 30% of the open space contain these features.
Okay. Does 50% or less of the common space include land areas that are burdened by or proposed to contain utilities, easements, and or stormwater management facilities as described by the code?
Only 20% are encumbered by these features.
Is the open space planned as a contiguous accessible area of at least one contiguous acre not less than 50 feet in width?
Yes,
If the contiguous open space is bisected by the existing or proposed roads, does the plan provide for crosswalk at grade designed to safely link common open spaces?
yes,
Does the plan incorporate significant natural features into the overall schematic of the design?
yes, that's what I spoke about earlier. A big portion of the property is environmental features that are being preserved.
Okay, does the plan provide for pedestrian circulation throughout the development by utilizing sidewalks and trails?
Yes, we worked with the planning commission to come up with a trail system that navigates through the site and also ties into the existing trail system, which heads over to Albright College that was there when this was a student housing facility.
Does the plan provide at least one designated common area that contains 25% or more of the total required open space?
Yes, open space C has almost 83% of the open space.
So what we just went through is a recitation of all the requirements under section 355-48. To the extent that anything was missed or not specifically addressed, is it your understanding that all of those items, if not now addressed, will be finally addressed before development begins?
Yes,
In your professional opinion and to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, does the plan comply with all objective utility and dimensional requirements set forth in section 355-48 of the zoning ordinance?
yes, it does.
In your professional opinion, is this proposed multifamily development consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of Muhlenberg Township Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Ordinance?
Yes, it is.
In your professional opinion, will the intended use of the specific location be contrary to public health, safety, morals, or public welfare?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Probably tricky. Wasn't listening.
Have you analyzed the capacity of the road system providing access to the property?
Yes, this size project does not require a traffic impact study based on the number of units. However, in my professional opinion, the amount of trips being generated is minimal and will have no significant impact to the existing road network.
Okay. We may have answered this and that, but when the incremental increase in traffic from this development is superimposed on existing use, will it lower the level of service of any roads or intersections below a level of service C?
I know, in my opinion, again, that there'll be zero impact from this development on the level of service, existing level services of the existing intersections.
Does the plan provide adequate acceleration or deceleration lanes and interior circulation to ensure safe and convenient access for residents, visitors, and emergency vehicles?
There's no acceleration or deceleration lanes proposed, however, the interior circulation, has been designed to meet all the traffic, turning templates of emergency vehicles, has been reviewed by the township engineer and fire marshal.
Does the facility provide safe and convenient pedestrian access between the apartment buildings and the parking areas?
Yeah, we have an extensive trail and sidewalk network.
Does the plan provide adequate buffering to screen the facility from view and preclude glare or noise from being ascertainable beyond the property boundaries?
Yes,
Does the local fire department have the ability to provide adequate fire protection and emergency services for this? project?
yes, and again, the plans were submitted to the fire marshal for review and approved.
Is there adequate water storage available for firefighting purposes, including the ability to pump at a minimum of 25 PSI without impairing ordinary beverages?
Yes,
Do the proposed sanitary sewage and municipal water facilities have sufficient capacity to handle the projected flow of this development?
yes,
Finally, will there be an increase in surface water runoff or erosion within the property or at its boundaries as a result of these site improvements?
no, the site has been designed to meet township ordinances for stormwater as well as the, state and county regulations for the NPDS permit.
I'm handing you, when it's marked as exhibit A5, is that a true and correct copy of the NPDES permit?
Yes, it is.
Good. In your professional opinion, or your responses to the items described in section 355-142 of the township code consistent with the feedback and recommendation provided to you by the Muhlenberg Township Planning Commission?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to move all the exhibits into the record, if there are no objections.
Does the board have any objections to any of the exhibits being admitted? Okay, we can let the record reflect that applicants exhibit 2 through 5 are now admitted into the record.
Okay, that concludes our presentation of evidence, which we believe meets all of the conditional use requirements set forth in the code.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant's witness at this point?
Thank you.
Wasn't sure.
I know this project has been in the works for some time, and I know that, whenever we have presentations like this, I will always sit here and say that our planning commission has probably asked just about any kind of question. I don't think I've ever asked a question that the planning commission hasn't already asked. I don't have a question for the presenters at this moment, but I'd like to address a question to Chief Luco. So I know there were concerns about, the ability to get fire apparatus up into here. I know there were questions on grade. I know there were questions on being able to turn around. Having read through this a couple of times, and believe me, folks, there's a lot of documentation that we already received online, in addition to what we've been given tonight. But, Chief, you're satisfied that all of your concerns have been addressed?
I believe so, yes.
It's maybe another plan to.
Well, yeah, I believe everything that I brought up, concerns has been addressed in the plan.
Okay.
The one question we had was fire hydrants. Are they coming off the larger main from the follow-up system rather than the dead end line coming through?
Yes. Thank you very much. Second, I believe at one point, the planning commission had talked, or at least a question, progressed into and out of the extended construction here. So all traffic is entering and exiting off of North 13th Street, correct?
That's correct.
And there was no possibility, if I remember some of the conversation, and this goes back months. There was no possibility of constructing another egress, like towards, I think it's Fern Street in the city. There was no way to put another exit in there.
We had originally proposed to do that, and when we met with, I believe it's Muhlenberg Township Authority who owns that land. And we have to cross a raw portion as well. I believe the Muhlenberg Authority had plans for that portion of land and did not want that access to cross their land, so we were not able to put that access in.
Okay. And again, we're not talking a huge volume of traffic, but I remembered the part of the conversation, I just didn't know where we had ended up with that. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll just mention, the Muhlenberg Township Authority does own that property and there are plans to redo that pumping station there. So unfortunately, and I think there's a creek or something that crosses there also, so it's pretty much impossible to get a second egress.
Okay, all right. Because I remember that, the traffic study wasn't required. Take that at face value, thank you. One thing that I'd like to at least address, and I know it doesn't necessarily come up in planning when we're looking at these types of developments. We do talk about the ability to have fire apparatus response. We don't necessarily talk about the ability of our police department to cover a construction zone like this, where we're adding another 40 some units in here. that area is, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, District 1 or Area 1 within our township, and we have 3 specific zones when we're looking at police enforcement, that we actually have, our patrols are out at any one given time. But I don't foresee an issue, I don't know that this would be a hotspot for crime, but we don't necessarily have issues coming in and out of the area anyway. I know we have patrols up in the old, labs and things, that are sitting up there, so, you know, to get their response time, is really not an issue from police enforcement either, correct? Or just
Per se, yes.
per se.
It is most of the times us having to travel to the city of Reading to get there. Depending on what the condition is of the access road of the old Expo Center. Outside of that, no.
Okay. But we have the ability to get through the Empire Center, you know,
Most times, yeah.
most times. And that's just something I think the board needs to take into consideration when we're discussing these types of things. And, you know, our ability to make sure that when we're adding homes and apartment units and so forth and so on. You know, I know we discussed the housing issue, in the county, I know that that's a very hot topic. The county has looked at this plan, and I know we received feedback from the county planning commission. So I know we need this, and I know that the township has discussed multiple times that, you know, we want to encourage development and growth within the township. You know, especially when we talk about things like redevelopment, I think this fits very well into, our comprehensive plan. It is a difficult parcel, to develop, and I know that that's partly why this process has taken as long as it has. So I appreciate all the hard work that has gone into all the questions, back and forth, with our planning commission, so, thank you for addressing those concerns. I have nothing else.
Does any other board member have any questions for the applicant's witness? Do any township officials sitting up here with me right now have any questions for the applicant's witness? Mr. Baker, do you have any other witnesses to present or those to present?
I do not.
Okay, so you rest your case at this point. At this point, the board, you can go back and deliberate on this application and have some conversation amongst yourselves in executive session. Or we could entertain a motion for either the approval or denial of the application.
Alright, so I need a motion.
It would be a motion to approve the conditional use application, subject to the conditions that will be issued in the written decision.
So move.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you, I can close the record.
There's one pet peeve with board of commissioners, let's make sure our formal plans on that board of supervisors go in. Please. Has to be stringent, it's a legal document, I don't want anything that could happen before. And some brought.
No problem, my mistake.
We won't.
Not this time.
You're very cool, bro.
I'm gonna get to it.
Get scolded in both places, so.
It's all right.
And we'll issue that decision within 45 days as required by law.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And do I hear a motion to adjourn the hearing? Thank you. All in favor?
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
The hearing's over. And with that, we can continue on with the regular board commission meeting. Not supervisors.
Okay. No, I can do it, just while, before we close that, just for, to close this process, we do need a motion to grant conditional final plan approval to the 2139 North 13th Street Land Development Plan with all waivers as requested. Conditioned on SDE's most recent review letter.
Now motion. I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then we'll move on to the first public portion of time for residents and taxpayers to comment on matters that may be before the Board of Commissioners. We do have one person signed in, Marty Greb at 1011 Bow Shore. If you'd like to come up, Marty, and address the board, please. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and listening. I just want to make a comment. It's both specific to tonight with Chief Luco making talking about new apparatus and also him in general as a fire chief. I've been on the fire board now for a couple of years, and I've seen him firsthand, how he operates. A little of my background on lots of fiduciaries. I was a network engineer for my career, and part of that did a lot of network design and things like that. So got into the RFPs and, you know, what's the need, what's a nice thing, what's the new shiny object and all that stuff. And one thing I found refreshing is the chief does not do any of that. You know, he's really concerned about the taxpayers, the money, making sure that he's doing the best for the township. I mean, that comes across in every board meeting, you know, he doesn't get angry about constructive criticism, he welcomes it. He welcomes new ideas, other ideas, and open to discussion on anything. In general, you got a great chief. I'm proud to be on board with people on the board and the chief leading it, and that pretty much wraps it up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to speak under the first public portion? No one wants to give both of any comments like that?
Yeah.
And look at us and. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Graham, we appreciate it. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Chief, that detective report we're gonna receive at some point.
I also.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so voted. Any unfinished business? New business, any motion to approve payment of bill presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service? So moved. Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to adopt ordinance 631 extending the LRTA program.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to adopt resolution 2026-05 appointing the township manager as a primary and the finance director as alternate delegates to the Berks County Cooperative Purchasing Council.
Motion.
Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to adopt resolution 2026-06 approving the sewage planning module for the 2139 North 13th Street land development plan. So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to adopt resolution 2026-07 approving sewage planning module for the McCollin residents.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to grant conditional final payment approval of the Laureldale Cemetery subdivision plan, condition on SDE's most recent review letter. So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to award the 210 George Street roof replacement project to GSM Roofing in the amount of $347,000. They were considered the most responsible lowest bidder.
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Just for the record, my company does business with GSM Roofing across the state, so I'm going to abstain just for full transparency, so, just wanted that to be on the record. Any motion to approve payment application number 3 in the amount of $128,870.40 to Empire Services for work completed on the Laurel Lane Riparian Forest Buffer Project.
No motion. Second.
Questions or comments?
Like a comment, the work down here is fantastic. It looks great. I know we need to wait until it floods to see just how well it works. But,
Well, I just think so.
But I mean, with all the work that was put into it, all the studies, I mean, it looks really well, it looks fantastic. It really does. The creek bed is in great shape. You know, the last few rains we've had, you know, things have been moving smoothly, so. You know, and again, we've talked about that there is only so much that we can do. You know, but I think we took a step in the right direction here, so it looks great.
Thank you, Commissioner Penfield.
We did not vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. And just so we get into I and J, Chief, just give us a little high level overview of the next two requests. So the board knows, just so the public.
Yeah, so currently we are eyeing solutions to replace our current aerial device ladder truck, as well as our rescue truck. Presently, we operate a 1997 HME 75-foot aerial device that was purchased last year as a temporary solution until a new truck could be ordered to have a ladder device out of our Temple station. We're also looking to replace our 2008 rescue truck, which is a dry rescue with a multi-purpose solution that is a rescue truck that has water on it and a pump, so it can kind of do dual purpose. Both of those apparatus, one more than the other, is aging, and also with the changes over the last couple of years with staffing, these will kind of fit the department needs for the next 15 years or so.
Chief, can I ask you one question before we vote? It's not a financial thing, but I talked to Jim about this before, but do we have the capabilities at the electric car issue Jim talked about? How does that impact the way you put out a fire? And do we have the appropriate, is that like a loaded question? Because I know we get requests for, when we're enticing development, and there's, you know, we're all electric, or we bring a whole deal, I just know there's a difference in how we handle that.
And ultimately, electric vehicle fires, to combat them, you need a lot of water, and it can take a lot of time. So ultimately, if we have the apparatus with pumps on them, hooking up to the water supply, if we have adequate water, it shouldn't be an issue. If it's in a rural section of the township, we'll have to bring in tankers to kind of combat that. Sort of a loaded question, but
Which is water, it's just standard regular H2O, no different kind of.
they're cool. There's different techniques that you can use.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is adequate water.
And one of the reasons I ask is because, you know, we have the bus stations, as Jim knows, and they're pretty much going electric. They're trying to school bus off Reading Crest and up on the hill, and if that, we're trying to get in front of an issue that has been brought up to us, if they go all electric, will that impact our ability to fight a fire if something happens?
From the apparatus perspective, there shouldn't be an issue with really the water supply.
Perfect. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I don't have any other questions on that. I just wanted to ask the chief there. Thank you.
Just to talk about lead time, chief, this is not the same as going out and purchasing a car or some other vehicles that we do. I mean, it's been a while, I think, since we actually purchased something new.
Correct.
And lead times are long.
Yeah, about 12, 15 years ago, lead times were probably 8 to 12 months on a new apparatus. For a full custom truck right now, we're pushing 48 months. So, there's different programs out there. that maybe we could look at to find a quicker solution. But for the aerial device, it's probably gonna be at the full custom build, which we're probably looking at 40 to 48 months until it's delivered.
Thank you.
All right, well then we'll go to a motion authorize the fire chief to design and order a new ladder truck for amount not to exceed $1.8 million.
Motion.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it so ordered. A motion to authorize the fire chief to design and order a new rescue engine in an amount not to exceed $1.1 million.
Motion. Second.
You got it. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it so ordered. Motion to authorize the parks foreman to purchase a Kubota L482 HST from Messick Farm Equipment in the amount of $35,924.
Move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it so ordered. Just for other new business, so folks are aware from a financial aspect, you know, it's a lot of money we just put out. Muhlenberg is in a very strong financial position from a debt perspective. We have one obligation out there, a 2019 bond issue, that we have already passed parameters to refinance. So as part of this refinancing, this board's going to investigate taking out what would be called new money to pay for this over the course of time, over the course of a 20-year period. That's usually what happens when you purchase something at a government level that will last longer than 10 to 20 years. So there'll be more to come about that. So the terms and conditions do look attractive based on our financial strength. We still do have a $3.5 million restricted reserve. We also have approximately a $4.5 million reserve that we pay for capital right now. So I give this boards of the past a lot of credit for putting us in a financial position to be able to tackle these large purchases that what hopefully will be minimal impacts to the taxpayer. So I just thought that was important because there are a lot of communities that don't handle it this way. And I think we've done a pretty good job over the course of time doing that. So this isn't, because if we didn't have the ability to do something like this, you're talking about raising taxes, you know, double for some of it. So I thank everyone for investigating that. So any other new business?
I'd like to bring something to the board for discussion and further investigation. As you know, at the end of last year, the township entered into a partnership with Bus Patrol, where we basically, and I'm gonna throw this to the Chief Hoover for a little more detail. But we entered into an agreement where we have a system that's automated to capture drivers who are passing school buses when they have their red lights on. And then it's generating a fine. And we talked about the importance of being able to do this because I think everybody has seen the videos that are all over social media and all online. Drivers are just blatantly blowing by school buses. When we did this, however, we had no idea that we would generate the number or see the number of violations that we've seen since we implemented this program at the beginning of December. So since December, we have had 350 violations. And that's just scary, absolutely scary. So we've seen revenue coming in from these fines. We had one of our school resource officers, Stephen Colella, came up with an idea to perhaps take some of the money that we see and be able to set up some type of scholarship for seniors in the Muhlenberg School District. I personally think this is a fantastic idea. You know, we did not implement this program as a money raising function for the township. But I'd like to explore this a little bit more. Chief, if you'd like to add something, anything, maybe dollar wise, we were talking, it's just scary, the number of violations.
It is, I mean, when you take into consideration that the program has only been in place since December 4th. The actual violations of, I just got updated before the meeting, is up over 388. And that is violations that have been approved. So the average right now is roughly 86% of the violations that we get notified of get approved for citations. So that other, roughly 14% is ones that the officer who certifies off on the violation determined that, per se, it's not the motorist's fault. Again, we never looked at this as a financial gain or anything like that. It was merely, in comparison to the school district and to the company, our portion of that fine amount is minimal at best. I was shocked, honestly. I mean, like blown away that the first month we had like 112 violations in a month. But if I can get off on kind of like a side note, the other thing that this has given us is data that we never had before. Because typically bus drivers would only give us maybe 2 or 3 violations a month. But with all these violations, Steve Colell, the SRO at the junior high, has gone to the transportation department and has looked at on a map all where most of the violations are occurring. So it allows the school district, who wasn't aware of it either, to either change bus routes, do a different bus or school stop. And it also allows the officers who are out on patrol to kind of be more aware of those locations to add police enforcement rather than just the civil fines. But I was thrilled when he came up with this idea, and I think it's outstanding. And so the fine amounts that we've collected roughly so far, because I haven't had a chance to talk with Dawn about what we actually have received. But, it's roughly $5,200 in fine amounts that we've received. And we're looking at, we don't really have any fine details about dollar amount of the scholarships, but we would like to take a fairly large portion of that amount and set aside for scholarships for, the seniors at the school.
So Officer, thank you, Chief, thank you very much. Officer Kalala has created criteria for these proposed scholarships. And there's a lot to talk through yet, but his idea, one of the things that he teaches or preaches at the school is kind of he calls it good human and community impact. And this doesn't necessarily mean that if this program is even able to be implemented, this is not something that is just for the highest level GPAs in the school. There's a lot of different criteria that goes into it. And we also discussed the possibility of maybe looking at a way to do something for students who would be going into trade. So it's not necessarily just for college-bound students, but anybody, any student that is trying to build their career. I bring this up as new business because there are a lot of unknowns. We don't even know from a legal standpoint whether we can set this up. If the temperature of the board is good, and everyone agrees that this is at least something worth looking into, I would ask our solicitor to please take a look at the legalities of setting something like this, putting it in motion. We would need to talk with Dawn, if we can, with kind of accounting and things, because there's a lot to keep track of. But that's why I wanted to bring this up as new business tonight.
Yeah, I'm happy to look into it from a legal perspective and see if there is a way to do it. I mean, it's public funds going to private individuals. So I'm not quite certain that there is a way to do it legally, but I'm happy to check it out and see if it's, if there's precedent or something like that.
To the best of my knowledge, there are no other municipalities that are doing something like this at all. So it would be good, for Muhlenberg. But whatever you can find out, trust me, thank you very much. Thank you, board members. That's all I have.
Any other new business? All right, moving on to board appointments, and I think this was tabled last month.
It was.
Because I know we received some applications, from, and I don't ever discourage anyone to submit applications, there's always other appointments. Just for my opinion, that, and I didn't talk with board members, is I think you know, or the history of us and our dealings with the MTA, which has come a long way. And I appreciate that the length that they've gone and the time and commitment they have to kind of, professionalize that board, but I was very adamant that we would have folks that represented that board that one time or another, or were actually on the ballot, they were approved by the residents and ratepayers of Muhlenberg Township. And I was passionate about that because of the situation the water authority was in at that time. So, and I also believe that, the late Commissioner Hoffmeister believed the same thing. So, I'm gonna make the motion to appoint, Steve Wolfinger to serve on the MTA board to fill the unexpired term of Rick ending 12/31 of 2027.
Second. You got
Second, any questions or comments?
it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those if any,
No, no offense, Wolf.
the ayes have it, so will it. All right, and anyone wish to speak under the second public portion? No, no one's flyers, huh? Joey,
Jim, you're doing a good job.
very. Morrison, that's not for the minute.
Should you pay her? I did. You cut the grass. You cut the grass.
Nothing for me this month.
Jeremy?
We're doing a lot of blacktopping, so just look for construction sites. We try to close roads just per day. We have a lot of bad roads from this past winter, but we're making some headway. So just keep an eye out on the guys, try to keep them safe. Don't ignore construction signs, please. That's it.
Thank you, Jerry. Chief?
Just in addition to the bus patrol, I appreciate the board's consideration on that. I think it's a very good, way that, you know, not just the police department, but the township as a whole, get back to the students who earned the right to scholarship.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to cover is, so after our written test and the physical agility, we had 23 people on our list. We had the oral boards in March, 5 people failed, so we're down to 18 remaining candidates, and the backgrounds will start with that this week.
Two items. First, thank you to the board, for your support and apparatus, purchases, here this evening. And secondly, just to touch on our activity for last month, March, 153 calls for service, 83 occurring in Muhlenberg Township. That's all.
James?
Our planning commission meeting was held last week. We did approve or recommend some plans that you saw tonight. There's a few more land development plans that are kind of in the works and a conditional use hearing or 2 potentially coming up in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for those.
Okay, thank you. Going on, Commissioner Placido, you were first on this.
Gonna jump on the fire chief bandwagon, I guess. I'm only the liaison for the fire department for 2 months. And during that 2 months, I will say what I've learned is the fire emergency services organization has really evolved since what I remember just 10 years ago. When I say evolved, I think about the efforts that the chief and the volunteers and our paid drivers have done to pull together as a team. They really do work together as volunteer paid drivers, and I know it takes the effort of all the volunteers, the paid drivers, and the leadership to make that occur. The other thing I learned was the evolution of equipment, with having less people to respond to calls. You know, in the past, we might have sent a rescue truck out and a fire pumper out. And now with what was approved tonight, we can send one piece of apparatus out that will have the rescue equipment. It'll have some water supply on it and respond to a second call on the return. So again, just hats off, not only to the chief, but it takes everyone in the fire department paid and the volunteers to pull off what you've been able to accomplish in the last year or so. And I do want to mention that obviously there's a cost associated with this new equipment, since 2022,
Excuse me, 2022.
we've received $1.6 million in grants. So that's money that our tax holders don't have to get out. So again, good work by the fire and rescue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Merkel.
I don't have anything to see. Thanks.
Commissioner Searle?
The only thing I want to reiterate is the grant funds, not just our fire department, but all departments, to mitigate the burden on the taxpayers. Our leadership of this township does an excellent job with securing grant funds. So that's all I got.
Commissioner Lurch.
Thank you all for coming out. Let's go Flyers.
Just quickly, Mr. Stoyer, you asked last time, we did measure the street for Grande around Spinnaker coming down. It is up to the code, it should be a 33 feet, am I saying that's right? It does come down shorter when you get where the development is done. I know what you're talking about, I'm not sure there's a viable fix, but we did look into it and are monitoring it. But from a code perspective, it is what it should be in terms of length, so we did look into that, so I wanted to make sure I followed up with that. Second point, summer concert series, I think is Friday, right? It started up again. So anyone interested in that, feel free to go down, so it's a great event. Enjoy,